Hello, welcome back to PlayStation Access. My name is Nathan. I'm here with Hollie.
Hello.
We are at PSX.
We are.
2017. I saw a panel today with Sucker Punch, and that's what this video is about, because their new game is Ghost of Tsushima, and it was revealed at Paris Games Week. PG, I'm going to stop it with the P's. So they showed the trailer. Everyone was very excited. Details, there were none.
There
right?
really weren't any.
It was thin on the ground. So this is 8 things that I learned about Ghost of Tsushima at PlayStation PSX 2017.
I'm really excited to hear this because I was off doing some other capture,
which you'll be able to see soon on the channel.
I actually don't know anything, so I'm excited for the feedback. You've got a notepad this time.
I know, and look, so these are 8 things, and I found them interesting, and there was more when I went back into my notes than I thought, but still, they're not at the stage where they're revealing tons about the game. They are letting the trailer speak for itself, and the panel was as much about the trailer as it was about the game. But if you're as excited about it as I am, then you're gonna, this is the stuff that you want. So number 1, you might have. This is one of the very few details that was out there, but it's about the invasion of Japan by Mongols in 1274. Okay,
yep.
And you play. This is kind of newer. Nate Fox, creative director, was mentioning this.
Yeah.
You play as a samurai on the losing side.
Oh.
Apparently, it's based. This is it's real. We're going to get maybe onto that in one of my other points.
Mm-hmm.
There really was an invasion. It was the first time that Japan had been invaded by a major.
Wow.
Outside force. So the samurais apparently just rocked up, not really having loads of experience of what fighting the Mongols was like, and they lost. And you are one of the samurai who survives.
Okay.
And then the ghost, I think you have to learn a new combat style. The ghost style, Nate Fox referred to it as in this panel.
Ghost style.
Or a ghost way of combat, and
Okay.
that's how you then take your revenge. So that's what it's about. And number 2. Sucker Punch changed direction, obviously. They have been making Infamous most recently.
I love all that. Like, the Gorilla did the same thing. I'm loving all the studios just trying something a little bit new.
Exactly.
I think it's really exciting.
And they have to, yeah. And Nate Fox, again, the creative director, who's been there. I've interviewed him before for Infamous games way back, and he was like, the question was, why did you guys change direction? Infamous is really good. And they were like, yeah, obviously we love Infamous, but sometimes creatively it's good to be freaked out. And as an answer, I like that. You need to be like, Infamous is the thing, it's a safe thing, people like Infamous, we can make another one. Let's do something else.
I also think it's just good for the studio. I think it puts the studio on a map in a different way. You stop being the Infamous studio and you start being Sucker Punch. The same way you stop being the Killzone studio and you start being Guerrilla.
It's been so good for Guerrilla to spread their wings, and hopefully the same true
I feel good.
Of Sucker Punch. And do you know what they said on the panel, that after they kind of agreed, and there must be tons of talking to to PlayStation and making sure it's the right project. Once they'd settled on this as a project, they said that the first few weeks were incredibly productive because everyone was just so pumped about working on something new and exciting.
Buzzing in that studio.
Exactly.
That's such a nice feeling.
So that was it was really, really nice to hear. And also just along with this point, they just kind of talked about how samurai movies, they mentioned specifically Akira Kurosawa and Seven Samurai were kind of, that's what they're going for. So it is authentic, but it's kind of very much inspired by it. And it's a story, like Seven Samurai isn't like a historically accurate movie. So it's kind of, it's a heroic action game set, but they're using that setting as just, as just a cool place to visit on your PlayStation. I'm obviously happy about them referencing Seven Samurai and
you love film.
Akira Kurosawa, because Toshiro Mifune, who's the star of Seven Samurai and lots of Akira Kurosawa's movies, is very much the influence behind Mitsurugi from Soul Calibur.
Oh Lord, here we go.
And obviously
Nathan's living his best life right now.
Obviously, Mitsurugi's the most handsome man on PlayStation, so no, we don't need to talk about that anymore. Number 3. They chucked this out there today. I don't think this is out there yet. I'm not sure. It's an open world.
I think people just maybe assumed.
They're an open world studio, right? And I think they talked about it being a big world. But yeah, they dropped the line, this is, we've gone and we've done tons of research about this place, and we've made this open world that you're going to be investigating. So for me, that was just like a little confirmation.
Tick.
People were looking at this at Paris Games Week, and there was loads of comments saying, is this going to be a bit like The Witcher, but like Samurai? Because I'm so down for that.
I mean, if it is, I'm so down for that.
And open world is just one little block saying, well, it could be. Yeah, sure. So who knows? Number 4, the voice in the trailer is the Mongol Khan. And I think the structure of the trailer made it obvious that it was a bad guy.
Yes.
Because, you gradually realised that you were being spoken to, and that if you remember point number 1 here about who you are in the game, it kind of places it in that context. So he's talking to you as you have lost, and then obviously your journey is then to go on and become super badass and take your revenge.
Cool.
And Sucker Punch on the panel spoke about how the structure of the trailer, the first time they get this new game they've been working really hard on, how important the trailer is, and how this structure kind of fell into their laps a little bit. They were like, how should we start it? What's the spine of it going to be? And I think that they were talking to their like motion capture performance guy, and who had just had a session with the guy who plays that Mongol guy.
Wow.
And he was like, hey, just leave me alone for a little bit. Let me try something out, because I think this could work. And then they were like, ah ha ha ha. This is amazing. This just really,
that's so cool.
Yeah, this kind of presents everything that we kind of want to present at this moment. And they were talking about the choices within the trailer anyway. Everything they showed is like, of the utmost significance for presenting this game to people for the first time.
I like all that.
So that's the story behind it, the Mongol Khan. And this game is set, if you were paying very close attention to the numbers I said earlier, 1274, which is about 50 years after Genghis Khan has been dead. So that's the kind of era that we're talking about. Okay.
I'd like to think you didn't have to wiki that and you just happened to know that it's about 50
you can think that, Holly, but I did. I looked that one up. Number 5, talking about the trailer and putting it together, all of the locations in the trailer are in the game. So there's not just like, hey, here's some cool, pretty stuff that we're putting in the trailer. This is places which are definitely going to be in the game in other places as well. They visited Japan a couple of times for reference.
Yes.
And so they're going to fill it. So they're saying if you went to Tsushima, you would not necessarily see everything. They have taken, I would call it a romantic license. They're in love with a particular sort of samurai
see that
story.
Though, like I think Watch Dogs did that. It was a romantic license with Chicago.
It's
not necessarily like bit by bit, but if you went there, you'd feel like, I see where we're going with this.
They've got all the iconography of the samurai stories that you would suggest, but they've also, put that together with their reference work that they did over in the actual locations.
I mean, I guess everyone probably already knows it, but Tsushima is a Japanese island. It's not a magical made-up place.
No.
It's a real place.
Yeah, and this invasion really did take place in this particular location. And kind of speaking about that line between authenticity and fantasy, they are very keen to be respectful of. Obviously, they're not telling a true story, but it's based on reality, and there's certain things they want to get right, and they just want to be respectful to the fact that they're telling a story about a country which isn't where Sucker Punch is based. But to that end, they do have a team working in Japan, and they are collaborating with Studio Japan as well. So
that's really cool.
They're doing tons of they were talking about there was an associate producer who's from Japan on stage today, and they were kind of talking about how they would run stuff past him, and he would run stuff past his team, and they would always research stuff. So they're just
cool.
They're just keen to make sure that everything is as respectful as possible, which I also liked.
Which is tough when you want to take an almost creative license with it as well.
Exactly. Yeah, you're treading that line between let's make this as fun and badass as possible, but let's not look like let's not take too many liberties.
Which is what a beautiful culture.
Yeah, exactly. And there was the chat around that. If you do go and watch the full panel, which is online, it was really interesting. Number 7, the game symbol, which you might have seen, which is kind of 2 pointed in a circle. That is a family crest. So there's certain old families, I think, in Japan who have crests. This one is fictional, but again, it was one of the points talking about the kind of authenticity. It was one of the things that had gone back from the art team at Sucker Punch to their Japanese team, just to make sure that it was like which one is the most realistic, which one could have, which one is like other real
really nice.
authentic crests. And this one is, I'm not sure what family it is attached to within the game, but it's supposed to represent mountains because the island is a mountainous area. So
cool, I like that.
And I think some Reddit detectives might have figured that out, and they made reference to that too. So that's what it's all about.
Reddit detectives are like the most badass of all detectives.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, God bless you, Reddit detectives. Okay, and and on that talking about kind of families and family crests, they made reference to the fact that the So family will be in the game. They didn't really explain that because I guess they're so in the world, but the So family, according to a quick Google, was they ruled the island at this time.
Okay.
So that family is obviously going to be prominent in the story in some way or another. And they've got a cool crest as well, which you can go and look up online. Number 8, Holly, they mo-capped horses. Yeah,
come on.
yeah, exactly. It's about time, isn't it? So there's actually a scene I think from the trailer where there's like horses riding into battle,
And they mocap.
and they're real. They're not real
So the horse
horses.
wore
they're
the
in game.
suit.
Yeah, and they were saying that they stuck. So they had some footage on stage of these horses with tons of like
The ping pong balls.
yeah stickers all over them, and they were like falling off because I guess the horses
They weren't made to
they're
stick to horses.
furry or whatever you call them.
Furry.
Horses. Yeah, they got specially furry horses. So yeah, so that was another fact from the panel. So that's 8 things, right? I was like.
It was.
I was
Sorry.
quite pleased that I got 8 things from that panel, and there's still tons that we don't know about the game. We don't know what the combat's like. We don't know who our hero is. We don't know,
I can't wait to find
not
out.
Really, so
I want to go on that adventure with Sucker Punch, and I want to
Yeah.
have that information drip fed, and I want to get excited, and I like going on that journey of just up until launch, like getting the
bit
information,
of a
and feeling
tease.
buzz.
Yeah,
I like that.
I'm in. So whatever happens next, I'm going to be there. I'm going to be excited about it. Look, I hope you enjoyed this video. Let us know in the comments what you're thinking about the Ghost of Tsushima new game from Sucker Punch. If you like this video, give us a like and subscribe to PlayStation Access because we've got loads more about PlayStation coming up.
And furry horses.
And furry horses.